And today our special guest is my brother Justice. Justice is a world builder, musical pirate, international supermodel, and a man of mystery. Thanks for coming here today, man.
You're welcome.
So, to begin, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are on your journey?
About myself. Okay. I'm in a very interesting space. I feel like I have fortunately stepped back and hid myself in a cave, right? Listening to sounds, silence. Also removing a lot of noise from my life outside of me and paying close attention to the noise inside of me, which is quite loud. I didn't realize how loud. And getting familiar with these things, why they're there, where do they come from? What are these feelings? What is this grief? What is this sadness? What is this joy? Oh, here's me, a little bit more of me, falling in love with me, confused about me, all the emotions. What is me? You know what I mean? So, and I feel recently that I've kind of peeked out of the cave a little bit. Okay, what is it like out here now? What's next? And what is next so happens to be one of my most challenging decisions moving forward, one of the most difficult decisions moving forward, one of the most scary decisions moving forward. And so taking a moment to I'm gonna go back in here, right? How does that feel? Okay. I'm intrigued. What is this voice now that says, you can't do that? You're too afraid to step into those shoes. But now I say, I know that voice now. And that voice can't live here, right? Because what's next is complete and utter faith. It's the smiling joker that's stepping off of the cliff in complete faith. Now he looks like a fool. Or is he a fool? So I'm in a moment of a battle that I'm winning of what I want to be in complete faith and belief in what I am and what I want to be and where I'm going. Because that other voice can't exist moving forward with me. And I've been feeling it, even today, feeling the weight of, if you make this decision and this has happened and you got to put everything you got into it, all of your finances into it, it's not to the logical mind, it's not the smartest decision. But to the magical mind, it's a no-brainer. To the storyteller, it's a no-brainer. So I am stepping into a very unknown space, a mysterious space, and having to practice even from like baby standards of, I'm now kind of new at this world, and I'm being asked of so greatly, in a space of, I wouldn't say weakness necessarily, but new, which gives me a little bit of excitement because Justice is now in a way removed. In order for this to happen, it has to be something outside of myself. So this relationship with faith, this relationship with, I rely on something more, something greater to move this forward, is a bit more present. As I think I'm leaving a part of Justice in this cave, which I'll go back anytime and enjoy. But to step out is a different me. So I wouldn't say that I'm out in this world, la-di-da-di, I'm doing it, I'm figuring it out. It's like, I'm not, I'm scared as hell, which always tells me you're doing it. Run towards the fear. But a baby in a brand new world, and it's exciting. It's exciting. If that answers your question.
Big time.
Yeah.
And it's very inspiring too, to know that you're out there doing it, because I feel in a similar space, and it's important. Thank you. So this episode is about exploring the idea of the apocalypse, and the idea that the apocalypse perhaps has gifts to bestow upon us, and it needs to strip away, like you're describing, the justice that's being changed, partially left in a cave, and then we can find the treasure perhaps, or the pearl. So for you, what does the word apocalypse evoke, mean, bring up in you when you sit with the word apocalypse?
Chaos. All out chaos. A redefining, a change, I feel a battle. I feel all the disgusting, all the things we even think of ourselves in a place of, I wouldn't say darkness, in a place of being a negative term necessarily, but those places inside of us coming alive, meeting the places inside of us of the complete opposite, coming alive. And I wouldn't necessarily say to kill each other off, but I kind of see there's a moment of both sides running at each other, like we're about to go at it, because this is what we're supposed to, right? Or that's what we're supposed to.
Sure.
But there's a meeting in the middle. Let us coexist. Let us have a world where this is understood. It's not so one-sided, not so defined. This looks that way, that looks this way.
A melting.
Just a mending, a molding, all in one.
Makes me think
color.
of the idea of alchemy, I guess, in its essence, is to some extent holding the opposing opposites. And then out of that tension, like you're saying, it's not a destroying of the light or the dark or whatever opposites you want to bring into that idea, because then it would just cancel itself out and life would not continue. But it's the tension creates a new third. And I love that idea of these two like rumbling, forces that may have been dormant and hiding elsewhere, and now they come clashing together in that beautiful image you just brought in, and then something new is born. Making love on the battlefield.
Making
love with your enemies on the battlefield and having babies, man. Something like that. All right. Since we met, you and I have had an ongoing conversation about how the world seems to be falling apart as we know it, and simultaneously a new world is being born from the flames. Can you tell us a bit about your visions of what is falling away and what is rising up, and what you are bringing for this new world?
As you know, I've been one to really put a lot of effort into community, in the sense of relationship and how we deal with one another as just human beings, and how we misunderstand and misinterpret words coming out of our mouth. And through the years of living in community, close community with people, grown-up children, adult children, with an intention of learning from each other, there's been a blossoming of understanding how to interact with one another, finding and feeling the frustrations that we may have, the anger inside of us, the feelings that we don't necessarily enjoy, recognizing them, even in interaction with friends and loved ones. And taking that knowledge and saying thank you for causing frustration inside of me. Thank you for bringing to surface these things that I have trouble looking at, instead of pointing the finger and saying, this is your fault. And I think that right there is why we fight each other from the moment we are born to the moment we die. And to see that being played out around me, when everything and everyone is designed for us to experience ourselves fuller, then we're just grateful for everything. There is no problem. And that's just something that has just saved me in life. And watching people around me use the same tool in community, and watching the growth of these human beings. And I'm, someone who likes to host the space for community, for those to come and practice being human and having freedom of expression. I think there's a lot of suppression. There's a lot of people that don't feel like they can be themselves. And to be in a community where that's allowed, cool. You know what I mean? You're so interesting. You're so interesting. I'm so entertained by all you. We're entertained by each other. If we're not fully ourselves, then the viewer is getting screwed out of its ticket. I bought a ticket to watch this show. Show me who you are. If not, I wouldn't say I'm bored. I would say, let's go. Try to drag it out of you, Yeah. And so I feel like in my own personal world, maybe we'll go more in detail on this. I mean, me and you talk about it all the time, but the idea of paradise, the idea of heaven, the idea of a place that we can all exist in, I believe is more attainable than just an idea. Mm-hmm. And so my efforts are what that looks like in my immediate reality here, physically, and in the cosmos, whatever, to building a space that hosts these ideas for my own entertainment, to see. I want to test this out, and I've seen it happening, and I see the relationships growing just by having a space to practice these things, So I feel community with intention, and I feel the washing away of generations and generations of negative thoughts or restraints that tell us that we cannot be, or what we are even. The moment we are born to the moment we die, we are being told potentially what we are, given a name. My name is Justice. I didn't choose that name. I'm a man. That's what someone told me. I am handsome. I hang on to that. Served me well. But a world where we can wash it all away and say, well, what do we want to be? And create it with each other.
It makes me think, this isn't on the question preparation list here, but reading LSD and the Mind of the Universe by Christopher Bosch, it's been blowing my mind. This guy took 73 high-dose LSD journeys over 20 years and documented them. And this one idea that came through in the book last night when I was reading is that what the creative intelligence behind everything is doing, and for the future plan, is we're birthing the future human, and which is going to be this kind of like psychic oneness, or like on earth, perfect meshing of spirit and flesh. The way to do that is through suffering, which is kind of our ideas of leaning into the pain going forward. And I love this idea that the suffering, whether it's global climate, whatever it may be, macro, micro, is what activates something deep in us that has to come forward in order to survive. And that we are all absolutely, in his experience, reincarnated beings who have been here again and again in every form, of everything that you can imagine. And when you are under enough pressure from pain that your soul, which knows it's not 100 years, 50 years old, it's hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of years old, will surface, and you will have access to the ancient lifetimes and wisdoms now in this body with your mind. And that, I don't know why, but that just kind of tripped me out and just somehow connected to what we're
Heck yeah.
feeling. Sorry to interject even.
No, that's
not a
not an
question,
interjection.
just like
Yeah.
something I want to explore later. We're also going to write the song after this session or begin, so all of this can be ammunition for our adventure. Okay. Something I admire about you is your ability to stay grounded through all of the storms of opinions and voices constantly echoing in our society. How do you manage to stay focused on your path and continue listening to your soul's voice?
Question. First thought is I don't have a choice. You know, I remember when I was a child, my mom would pray this, and I would pray it too. At the end of every prayer, we'd say, "Use me in a special way when I grow up." And so, from a time when I was a child, I always knew there'd be something I would do that was special. And just kind of been in touch with a purpose, and also aware that I was born into a skin that gets a lot of attention. So when I learned that, very fortunate to have the family and the upbringing that I did to go in a route in which I've gone. People listen to me. I've noticed that. And a lot of people listen to me because of how I look. And I even notice with the work I do, I get paid a lot of money because of the way I look. And so I just felt in touch with a part of me, to go off what we were just saying, born into now a skin. My journey hasn't changed, but the attention I get may have changed. So I have been really dedicating my free time, because I have it. I work a few times a year and get paid more money than most people get paid in a lifetime. So I've been dedicating my free time of trying to figure these things out for all of us. Not all of us have this time. I wish everyone could have this time. It's one of the reasons why I want to continue building worlds for people to come have this time, because that time is very important. Because I feel like that is a purpose of mine in this lifetime, because of how easy it is to make money and buy things like land and to house many people. So with that, I know that I have something I must say. Maybe it's just listening, but I do feel like I have something to say. What that is, it comes when it comes. I've surrendered to it. This is my journey in this lifetime. And what I have to say, I know it leans towards freedom, love, the impact I have on a set in middle of nowhere, France or Spain, getting my nails done, being the star of this set, and I'm kicking it with someone who is surprised that I'm kicking it with. I'm giving attention to the ones who most of people in society may not pay attention to. And I noticed, even growing up, the impact that has on people and those around me. Because my image is what we see, what we're sold, is kind of in this category. I don't know how to explain that, but maybe it's understood.
It is for me. I mean, just when I met you, I was like, you're not at all what I would, my stereotypical mind snap would go to like a model, like a
Sure.
super hot dude who's blah, blah, blah. You're like way yourself and not at all that.
So there's that exact
yeah.
stereotype.
Yeah.
I just feel I have impact on what I've been trying to do and accomplish, the spirit in me, the message in me. Now obviously the way I look has nothing to do with it, but I'm taking advantage of the fact that eyeballs are on me.
Absolutely.
And if like that's what I must do, what we must all do in our own way, what is easy for us? What are the tools we've been given? What are our gifts? And what are we doing with those gifts? I guess to answer your question, I've just been on this path of like, okay, well, this is when it's time for me to show up for the world.
Totally.
In this body, whatever that means.
Two things you said that I bring up some stuff is the prayer is really cool and sweet. And I know the word special, you and I have had talks about it, can be like activating to like, well, no one's special or everyone's special or blah, blah, blah. But the way I feel that is not in that way of being uniquely special as in better, but it's this idea that Michael Meade taught me about that we all have a wise word, he calls it, or a special seed, because nature only makes originals. Nature never makes doubles or doppelgangers. So our mission is to bring out that special thing that only we have here and implant it in your soul as well, because otherwise it'd be too easy. Michael Meade talks about ancient, older philosophies around that there's a crosswise word implanted, or like something that negates, can potentially negate the special thing you have, which is why most people never bring out their special thing. So anyway, that came through strong, and it's really cool to watch you keep stepping into your discomfort, not taking easy paths, knowing you for these years. It's inspiring to me, man, big time. And that makes me want to say hello to Taylor, too, who introduced us, our brother who passed in the flesh last year, but he's here with us. I could feel him smiling. What's up, T? All right. What are some ways in which you have experienced extreme destruction in your life only to find a gift in disguise? If you don't mind.
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm open book, baby.
Let's go.
I was just talking. I go to the chiropractor, right? I went today, and I was just telling her I was frustrated. She was adjusting my body, and she could tell something was up. And I was just like, "What's going on, man? I'm just so frustrated. Like, I know I should be happy. Everything's gonna work out great. I know these things, but I'm a human being, and the human being is just pissed and frustrated because this is hard."
I had it this morning, weirdly.
Really?
Too. Yeah, big, strong, out of the blue annoyance and anger.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
It's
stress.
So,
just
it's
like,
like,
fuck.
what is going on?
Yeah.
And I heard myself say, I hate the details, man. The details of this deal, the details of decisions, the details bother me. I get frustrated with details. I'm someone who just says, I want to do this. I don't want to hear how to do it. I just know it's going to happen, and don't question how it's going to happen. And I heard myself say, well, maybe this is a lesson of paying attention to the details. And she looked down at me and said, this is called making a informative decision. I was like, imagine that. I'm informed before I make a decision. And I would say there was a moment, man, I just lost $1.2 million. Just like I made a bad decision, was not informed, just trusted the connection and gave this guy some money that was gonna just in a few years pay me back. And I made all my investments based upon this security. And then in like one night, this person made a bad move and it's gone, all of it. And I remember thinking, that's laughed. It's laughed. This will be fun. This will be fun to see how I recover from this. And in that moment, I felt that I wasn't that attached to money, which was nice. Like, okay, off to the moon. Because I was a little worried. Once you start getting in that phase, there's a whole nother voices in there tugging at you. It's tugging at me that I had to get to know. But when that happened, I was like, great, let's bounce back. And from that, I had to make adjustments in my life. Look at the details of my property in Nicaragua, for instance. What's going on there? Manager, get it set up. I need the details tight. The spot in Brooklyn, Unruly Collective. Details tight. Let's go. Because I can't do this. My house. Everybody move in. It's funny because this is where this community came from.
Wow, interesting.
I need help while I bounce back from all this. I had a lot of overhead. And it put a fire in my butt a little bit. And it's been 4 years. And I've been surviving. So that's always a fun story because it feels like I heard once my grandfather lost $800,000 in the stock market crash or something. And I was like, man, wow, gosh, what would that feel like? I shouldn't have said that out loud. Because I got a little bit more. Yeah. And one of my favorite moments is when I called the guy who lost it and he's crying. And I couldn't imagine. It wasn't just my money. I mean, I think I had the most with him, but it was other people's money. And he was so upset. He's like, Justice, I just wanted to die. And part of him was like, yeah, motherfucker. That's a lot of money, you son of a bitch. But then the other part of me said, you know what, man, it's just money. Like, I love you. It's okay. Like, if you want to I still hold this person to his word. Like, at some point, I won't get a phone call from this guy.
For real.
But I got to love him in that moment. And I felt a sense of power in me. And that was a pivotal moment in my life. A lot of things came from that. And so it's an interesting gratitude moment. Yeah.
Beautiful.
A lot of good things.
Really powerful. All right. We have 2 more. Recently, both of us have been experiencing a lot of personal pain. It seems that the entire world is suffering in many ways as well. It seems to me that when faced with roadblocks of pain, one can either continue to numb and ignore, or they can face the messengers of pain and lean into the act of transforming. What has this journey been like for you? What brought you to a place where you knew it was time to stop running and face your fears? You've spoken a bit about this, but if there's some more there.
I was kind of, in a way, forced into it. Some chapters in my life ended that I would have stuck around for and continued to experience. Because in those chapters, I was learning a lot about what I was and what I was capable of. And that chapter ended and kind of forced me into spending time with me. Now, being in community, I'm with people a lot. And that's something that I'm, working on and definitely needing in my life a bit more is my solitude. Took a trip down to Nicaragua for a month. The place is beautiful. It's not like I just put myself in like that difficult of a situation. However, the feelings inside of me were very difficult. And I knew I needed to spend some time with me. And I went down I was going to go for a week, then I went for 2 weeks, then I went 3 weeks, and a whole month. I just kept saying, like, you got to stay longer. You're not ready. You're not ready. Man, and I just remember so much grief, so much sadness. I would go up to the top of the studio, and there's this like palapa roof. It's all open, and I would lie on my yoga mat, and I wouldn't get up. I would do Wim Hof breathing. That was the first thing. Like, okay, I got to breathe. Got to slow everything down. I got to find presence. And then at the end, he asks you to hold your breath. Hold it as long as you can, and go into to suffocating yourself. Maybe this way you can move this energy out of you. And it's what he's asking you to do anyways. How long can you go? How far can you push your mind? Your body is oxygenated. I just did hundreds of breaths after another. And I would start to convulse. How much longer? How much longer? And then I would get into a yoga flow, and then into a breathing flow, and then get into a crying flow, like weeping flow, just lying on my back with puddles of water and tears around my face and my neck. And then I would get up, and I'd have to do regular stuff. Like I had to feed myself. I'd go on walks. I would sing. I would dance. I would just try to get to know all kinds of parts of me that maybe were hiding. I'm not sure. Just like crying out for something. Writing a lot of music. Put this into words. And then I came back. And was trying this new thing out with my friends. All right. Well, I still have this emotion. I still have this grief. I still have these things that I don't know what it is. I get what it is from the immediate ending of a certain chapter of my life. But once I got deeper, I felt like it was my family, my grandparents. Felt like it was the world. And I knew I needed to just keep this vessel open. Don't keep any of this stuck. A lot of times, growing up, I was a very emotional person. I remember that. And then I closed it off just because I didn't want to just start crying or whatever in random situations when it didn't seem necessary. I'll just do it later. Well, later may not have ever happened. And so to come back and practice with my friends, when it comes, even in the worst times. Let it flow. And so this has been my practice and will continue to be, for me, is getting to know feelings and sitting with myself in a way that I don't think I ever have. I should have done this years ago, but I went to women. I went to alcohol. I went to drugs. No, I wouldn't say I'm somebody who is that. I don't utilize these things that often, but I knew what I was doing. Looking for something, looking for comfort, distracting myself. But no more. A few months ago, I said, no, man, I can't do that. I'm not going to do that again. Now I'm going to feel. Now I'm going to sit with myself. And I want to be the very thing that I want us all to be. Put your money where your mouth is, kid. You have something to say. Well, be the thing you want to say. And maybe you don't have to say a word, which that would be ideal. That would be ideal.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on now, is the projections, the leader in me, the one that I want to save the world. Let's go here. And that is enough. Taking the pressure off me, sitting with myself, and I'll feel the emotions of the world. What do I do with that is what's defining me currently. And I'm feeling like a badass.
You are, man.
Because I'm doing it.
Yeah, you are.
And it's awesome.
It's intense. I squirm still in my own relationship with that. So it is awesome, man. You are a badass. For real. This last question is one that Molly and I kind of co-created because she's a depth psychologist and helped me kind of, I knew the root of it, but she just helped me kind of make it a little more depthy. So,
Thank goodness for our ladies.
oh man, for real. Seriously. As a supermodel and someone whose career is partially reliant upon your appearance, how do you deal with all of the projections people cast upon you? I can imagine that being seen in the ways you are might feel good and validating, but that parts of you get missed.
Mm.
How do you navigate this?
That's a good question. I would say the biggest struggle with me is knowing how to play me. I can work the money-making market. I can show up exactly how I should show up. And I have felt suppressed. Like what I am inside is much more vast than what I have been showing the world. Now my immediate friends and family, they get to know me, quite a bit on all kinds of levels. They see right through whatever facade I put on or am even. The world, yeah, see me through photos, see me through some videos. But they have no idea. Or not yet, at least, if that's the case. It feeds my ego. It feeds a certain feeling, a feel-good feeling, a rush of dopamine. When somebody tells me something positive about what they think of me, just based off my look. Now, that's also something I've been dealing with most of my life. It's just, so just kind of decided to just come up with my own standards, my own acknowledgments, and my own story for me, which may represent potentially what people say about me, which maybe that's how it kind of works. You kind of just like mirrors even what you're feeling inside. And I love who I am. I enjoy myself. I think I'm beautiful. I'm full of so much beauty. And if the world wants to tell me that, then I already know this.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, and it's funny. I was talking to my friend Brenna the other day, and she said, someone just told me that maybe you're going to have to die to how much you love yourself. And I was like, huh. I felt a little frustration. I was like, okay, maybe she's onto something. Because I think it's very important for us to really love ourselves fully. I love how I look. I think what I said was, man, I like this skin so much. How it looks, how I operate in it. Man, I'd like to keep it for a lifetime. I don't want to get in another skin. I feel like I've hit the jackpot, So I think off of that, she's like, hey, maybe you should let that go a little bit. Okay, well, maybe there's something there too, a lesson to detach from myself, to maybe find a bit more beauty inside, I'm not sure. I just know it.
You are, it seems, doing both in a really powerful way.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Balancing.
Lessons will always come.
Yeah.
And they're never going to stop, I guess. I don't know if there's a place of we've made it. I don't know if that would be any fun.
He talks about that, Christopher Bosch, in the book, about going all the way to like oneness and diamond consciousness in realms that have been talked about in different philosophies and religions, and reaching what felt from what he's read and experienced, okay, this is it. But then realizing if you push further, it never stops. It's infinite. But it's it seems the way he put it, that it's up to you how far you want to go, how many deaths you're willing to have. Can you keep leaning? You know, maybe there are plateaus where you rest for a while. But yeah, lessons keep coming, I think.
Plateaus of resting.
Yeah, expanding or something.
I feel like there's a I'm torn between a moment where I could rest.
Yeah.
Like I'm in the process of selling my home.
Yeah.
And I've fortunately made a good investment and it's going to put some money in my pocket. And the nomad in me, the one that could go disappear into the woods or get in my van and go drive off to Alaska, which has always been a dream of mine, just like go up to Alaska and do whatever.
Yeah.
Is right in front of me. Door number 1. Door number 2 is I'm not going to get too specific because I don't want to know. You could find out where this place is if I say too many things.
Yeah.
Buy a piece of land that has everything that I've wanted on it, and I can build anything I want on it and have as many people on it as I want. So this idea of land and community with family and friends is right in front of me, but it's going to take all that I have.
A lot of
and
details.
all my efforts and details. So it's like, there's two sides of me right now that are like playing a game. So the resting part, I think I'm really just trying to rest inside. Just rest, peace in here. And then go play the game called life. Because I like the game called life. I like playing it with you. I think we've been doing some crazy stuff over generations and generations. And we can accomplish many things.
And we will, God willing, I feel it, brother.
We have.
Yeah, we have already.
And inside, I would like to just find a sense of peace. Yeah. I think I feel it.
This feels peaceful to me.
Yeah, I feel it in there.
Yeah.
Still getting to know it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, was my talk with my therapist the other day, somatic practitioner, coming out of my hibernation where I've been off the grid for 7 months, wasn't on Instagram, which is crazy because I was the Instagram kamikaze.
Instagram king.
Yeah, Instagram fucking joker. I don't know what. And it was really hard. I had PTSD for a while from that and like just feeling like I was missing something. A lot of similar stuff happened with like Nicaragua and the roof in my way. And then just coming back like a week ago, sort of slowly. And I'm trying, and I feel excited because I like the game of life. This podcast seemingly has a life of its own. This conversation we're having right now feels so right to me. And the ones that people have sat in that chair, each one just feels like, wow, I haven't felt, there's something about it. So I'm inspired. I'm excited. We got a festival coming up. Thank you for creating that world for us to flow. And I'm trying every day to not burn out and go back into that same space that I was before where I can't put down the phone or another idea sparks another idea and suddenly I feel wired and not as present with Molly and Rock. But I like what you just said about the peace inside. Yeah, that's something we can keep working on. And just being able to turn it off, watch a movie, read a book, be a lump, be a lunk.
Yeah.
I was talking, last thing I'll say on this, and again, this is amazing. Talking to this physical therapist guy yesterday for my ankle, and he was just saying he's going to take off some time of this blah, 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 and, he's going to try to stay busy. I was like, man, don't try to stay busy. I mean, don't take it from me, but enjoy those downtimes. It's something. And then I saw something on Instagram where someone's like, I never sit on my ass. I'm always up to something. And that voice in our culture that's like, fucking hustle, bro. Like move, move, move. Otherwise, you're not worth anything. But what I really feel from a lot of my own experience in a particular poem you sent me, the Robert Bly, love this idea that grief is the only thing of true value that we have to offer to the universe. It's so counterintuitive to like what we're taught here, that just by being and opening your heart and processing the grief, the joy, everything, but that is what we give to the universe, not us performing, not us doing, I love that. So trying to every day, just like you're saying, let it flow when it comes. Whatever, all the things.
Now you mentioned grief, and now my mind is like, oh, I get that grief is beautiful. So to redefine it as you just did.
Molly redefined it for me recently. And yeah, she just says how much she loves grief because it always leads to her able to experience more joy, really. And that it's like this, if it stagnates for too long, like you said, you put it off for a while. I did that too.
Yeah.
And then later never comes. But then your grief is like the gateway into all the other juicy, amazing things. And then it's like training your mind, going to the gym at 5 a.m. is hard sometimes. It hurts, but it feels so fucking good once I've done it. And even because I know I feel better after, I start to enjoy the pain during it. And I feel like grief, and you talk about grief being like a shovel, I believe, that's how I remember it, a poem of my dad's grief being like a shovel that allowed for deeper wells of joy. Same idea. Like now you can, redefining grief, redefining everything. Let's write a new dictionary together.
It's about time for humanity to start rerouting some of these words.
For real, man.
Or maybe stop speaking and just start looking at each other a bit more.
I like that. And on that note, no more words. Can you leave our listeners with a way to connect with you, to support your work, to get in touch with your creations? Is there anything you would like to add? They can follow you at Justice Joslin.
Yeah.
On Instagram.
Instagram's at Justice Joslin. That's the only thing I like to use. I can't handle anything else.
They can find all the other creations through that.
Yeah, they can find, my studio is the Skipper Room.
Yep.
And then the festivals, we're in between names. Magical Mind Festival, but also Fest, the musical meeting of magical minds. That's another handle.
The Things.
The Things Official, that is the band.
Yeah.
That I have a lot of belief in. Yeah.
And we got some stuff coming, so you can always holler at me if you need to know where Justice is at. When he's in Alaska, I'll be his secretary for y'all.
Soon enough, there may be a piece of land
Yeah.
where everyone can come hang out on.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Beautiful. Well, thanks again, man. Excited to write this song.
Absolutely.
To be continued, and appreciate everyone out there listening. Much love.